How's it going, everyone? Jesus here, aka Tyrant Dominus, here to bring you a movie review, one of my first for 2019. The movie I just finished watching was Glass, the third installment in this interesting trilogy that came about. So this is the follow-up movie from the movie Split, which was a wonderful film with the actor James McAvoy. His performance in Split and in Glass were ridiculously amazing. I really enjoy his performance here. Same with everyone else. Seeing Bruce Willis and Samuel L. Jackson reprise their roles as Dunn and Mr. Glass, it's amazing. So the story takes place like 15 years after some of the incidents that's happened, from what I recall from the film. And if you remember from the trailers, they're being held after some incidents from early in the film. I will talk a little bit just of my initial thoughts of the film without giving any spoilers, and I'll go into spoiler reactions later. So, what did I think about the film? The film itself, the pacing felt just about right. I will state that it's not as action-packed as one would imagine. It's a very story-driven film. I felt like I was intrigued, paying attention to every scene that came about. Everything was well filmed. I love the cinematography they did for this. The acting was like amazing. Like I said, James McAvoy reprising his role as the Beast and everyone else. Like, his performance was great. I love him reprising all these multiple roles, and the way he transitions into each one seems flawless. And following up from the story from Unbreakable of Dunn and Mr. Glass, of their basically their conflict, kind of reinvigorated in this film, following the story of, them being told that they're not superheroes. And I like this idea. Like, a lot of their feats can be like reasonably like possible, and I like that their story's trying to go with that. And it's like, I don't know how to say it. It's a fun film. Would I watch it again? No. The reason why is, once you kind of know what's happening, it's kind of a one and done movie. It's worth watching again at a later date. It's not one that I'll like immediately watch again, because like I said, this is a very story driven film. It's like plot heavy. There's a lot to take in without giving too much away. So it's really difficult, because it does that Shyamalan twist, which is reasonably well done, because you feel like you know it's gonna happen, but you just gotta figure out where and what it is. And I tried, but towards halfway through the film, I kind of just gave up, because I was so enthralled with the plot that they were portraying, that it just, it was great. And at times it did feel that the pacing was slow, but that's because I was expecting it to be a little bit higher pace. But the moment I just realized that just to take it slow, I started to enjoy this film a little bit more. I don't know what more to say without spoiling too much. Like I said, every actor did a wonderful performance, including the doctor, who, if I remember right, was played by Sarah Paulson, if I'm pronouncing her name right. And we get back Anya Taylor-Joy, who played Casey in Split. We get the reprisal of that. It's oh my god, it was a very, very interesting film. So if I would put this on my scale, I would give this film, from culminating from all the films coming up to this, and the way it flowed, I'm gonna give it a 7, because the moment I withdrew my thoughts of it being such a, like, basically superhero film or superhero style film, and I was enjoying it for what it was, the movie was a little bit more enjoyable for me to watch. So 7 would be my score, above average. So now let's get into some of the little bit of the spoilers. So if you're done, you haven't seen the film, done. Spoiler time. So without getting to the big thing at the end, let's kind of talk about some of the things. So, you get the doctor trying to psychoanalyze these three who are trying to, like, you're not really a superhero, you're not superhuman. And she tries so hard, and there's so many well-conversed thoughts in there that it makes the characters believe that they're not. And they've done so much. They do so many cool things to kind of reduce the quote unquote powers of the individuals. For like Dunn, they have like the room fills up with water. That's kind of his quote unquote weakness. The Beast, they have a flasher that kind of forces him to transition to other personalities, so the Beast can't permanently take over. And in the same building is home to Mr. Glass, who his super intelligence, so they keep him heavily sedated. So towards the film, you kind of realize, he's not sedated. He's been slowly, like, switching his pills for aspirin and keeping himself, in tip-top shape, and trying to little by little figure out a way to get out and promote himself or establish himself, be out and about again. And throughout the whole film, we get this reoccurrence of Dunn's son, and played by Spencer Clark, and Anya Taylor-Joy's character Casey, who are kind of they're. What's interesting is they feel like backup characters, but they're pretty much essential, because it is a supporting cast, because, like, Dunn's son is, like, been helping his father for the last couple years be basically a vigilante, and the moment he's instituted, he tries to, like, he's not. At first, he comes up with a reasonable lie, but then you're like, he's not a bad guy. He's just doing stuff. And then the doctor, Dr. Staple, she starts to kind of manipulate her words, and the reason I say manipulate is because of what happens at the end. So they plan this whole, like, escape from the facility. Like you saw in the trailers, you see Mr. Glass and the Beast, the evil villains team up and shit. So they have this whole plan that they're going to go to, like, this big building, and they're going to blow it up and, reveal, like, there are superheroes and all this shit. And through the motions, they have Dunn try to, realize his potential, because he's still trapped in this building. And the moment he kind of just snaps and, like, people are going to die, he goes out, tries to stop the Beast and Mr. Glass. So the best, not the best part, but the interesting part of this was the actual twist that came out of this film. Was throughout the whole film, the Doctor, we get the sense that we as the audience want them to have superhuman abilities. That's what we want. And we as the audience can see that they have superhuman abilities, but in this world, they're just people who are just a little bit extra, maybe, but not really, So when the moment comes at the finale, when the Beast is finally, like, trying to make his way to go do this, Mr. Glass there's like a whole big, I did skip like a whole reveal that whatchamacallit, Kevin's the Beast's father was actually on the same train that Dunn was on, and that's the reason he kind of quote unquote left, because he died on the same incident that Mr. Glass did. So the Beast turned on Mr. Glass, and then you had this brawl that you saw in the trailers of not Glass, the Beast going against Dunn's character, the Overseer. I like that name. And it's, oh god, it's ridiculous what they did with the twist. So the way they did the twist was, everyone's kind of like down because Dunn's kind of like tired. He's got his quote unquote weakness because they fought in this barrel of water. He's just exhausted. The Beast is making his move to go to the tower to reveal himself, and like the original plan was, but he gets stopped by what's her name, Casey, and then Mr. Glass is already down because the Beast kind of like injured him, and his bones are made of glass, so nothing. It didn't really take much to like slowly kill him. And during this part, you see as Casey's holding on to the Beast, as he's trying to calm him down and revert him back to Kevin, and it works. This weird magical thing, and at that point he gets shot down, and as you reveal the shooter, you can purposely see a clover on their wrist, and little by little you start seeing all the other members. You see Dunn's character like get pulled away. His son's like, you gotta go help him, he's my dad, blah blah blah. But as you see moving over, as the camera pans over, you see two guys pull him up and then start to drown him. And as you see these guys drowning him in this small pool of water, like a reasonably small pool of water, you can see on their wrists they have these clovers. And little by little, then it's revealed that these people, this doctor, is part of this organization whose goal is to stop superhuman individuals, because they don't want there to be superheroes or supervillains, because when there is superhumans, then there's chaos. Because whenever a superhero arises, then their counterpart arises as well, said villain. And this is kind of revealed, and like, damn, I love that. Like, that was great. Like, because for the most part, the movie flowed, and it felt like the Doctor was reasonably thought that they're not superheroes. They're sick. They're just And she was literally about to lobotomize them throughout the whole film. We're gonna just fix that little part of your brain and forget about it. And it really worked. But what's great about this film is that Mr. Glass had the last laugh. Like, it might have been revealed that the Doctor and their organization were trying to stop superhumans, but Mr. Glass is always a step ahead. And instead of revealing at the tower who they are, he had them live stream every video that was in the facility, because early in the film cameras were being installed, seeing everything that was being been inside and outside the facility, and he used that to stream that video, and that video was spread throughout the world, showing the world that there are superhuman people in it. So this organization's, all their work that they put to put down that there are superhumans, they're just stories, was done by Mr. Glass. And that is great. That was fantastic. Like I said earlier, like the way the film flowed, there was a lot of I didn't find it annoying, but it was a little bit bad. I was taken aback because there's a lot of plot. Like I said, this movie flowed a little bit slower, and you have to get really used to it. But when you get those interesting scenes, they're interesting. But you have to get through a lot of the story out of it, and really delve into it. Like I said, this is a very plot heavy film, and there's a lot you have to take in. Like, it's not a film for really a lot of people if they're really looking for something action-packed. That's why I gave it a 7. Like, it's like, I enjoyed it because the way these films went on, because each film on its own is, like, reasonably good. And this film, as a standalone, is actually pretty good because it kind of transitions a lot to the back, and you really didn't have to watch a lot of the other films. They kind of recapped a couple things, which was really good if you haven't seen the other films. For newcomers, it's a good way to, like, oh, okay, so that's what happened and stuff like that. So it's good for a newcomer. So that's another good reason why I'll give it a 7 and stick with that 7, because it's a good refresher for a lot of newer people who just want to see this film. But yeah, damn, I love that big F you that Mr. Glass did to this organization. It's ridiculously awesome. But there you go. That's kind of my thoughts on this film. Let me know what you guys thought down in the comments. So until next time, see you.